Hi guys, welcome to this week's Lift Talkie Bit. I hope you're all doing as well as you possibly can be. So this week we are going to start a whole new series looking at some little known people from the Old Testament. And we're going to start with a man named Gideon. Now Gideon is the next in a long line of leaders whom God raised up to rescue his people from their enemies. This time, their enemies are called the Midianites. Now, we meet Gideon working in a hole, hiding from the Midianites so that they can't steal his harvest. God transforms Gideon from a nervous and fearful member of the weakest clan in Manasseh to a mighty leader. Now, for all of us, life can be full of worries and dangers, both in your situations at home or at school or just wandering around, or even if you consider the wider world. What I want to do today is help you to see that God is with us at all times. As a Christian, I really do believe that God is with us wherever we go, whatever we're doing. He has always got our back. Now, before we go any further, I was thinking what we could do is we could play a game. Now, I'd really like to encourage you to play this game with your families at home, and it's really very simple. So gather together as many people as is safe and is in your bubble as you possibly can. You need to choose two people, one who can only ever tell the truth and one who can only ever lie. Now, this game is kind of a tweaked version of hot and cold. Okay, and what I want you guys to do is your person who can lie and person who can tell the truth need to hide a wrapped sweet somewhere in the room, or if you're playing in the garden, wherever you're playing. Everybody else needs to cover their eyes, go out of the room, just not be able to see where they've hidden the sweet. Everybody comes back in. You then choose a third person who is going to have to try and find the sweet, and they have to choose between the two people, the person who will only ever lie and the person who will only ever tell the truth. And they can only say like hot and cold. So you don't know which person is only telling the truth and which person is only lying. You have to work that out. You have to trust somebody. You have to think about it, okay? And then try and find the sweet. I hope that makes sense. As I say, this is kind of a new game where we've just put a little bit of a tweak on it. So let me know how it goes. Okay, on with the rest of our Lift Talkie bit. So at this point in history, the people of God, Israel, weren't brilliant at following God. They'd follow him for a bit, and then things would be going well in the people's lives, and the land was producing lots of food. They might be winning a few battles. They might be feeling like, we're big, we're tough, we don't need God because we've got it sorted. And so they'd start ignoring God, and they'd start following other gods, or they'd start doing their own thing completely. Now, God was sad when this happened, and he would send other nations and other kings to defeat them in battle and take over Israel. Eventually, the people would realize that they were better off following God and not these mean and nasty kings. So they'd come back to God. They'd say sorry. They'd start following him again. And God would send them a leader to help them, and things would start to improve again. Okay? Now, I'm going to read a little bit from the Bible. It's from a book in the Bible called Judges. It's chapter 6, verses 1 to 7. and then I've got a couple of questions for you and we'll carry on. So, again, the Israelites did what the Lord said was wrong. So for 7 years the Lord handed them over to Midian, because the Midianites were very powerful and were cruel to Israel. The Israelites made hiding places in the mountains, in caves, and in safe places. Whenever the Israelites planted crops, the Midianites, Amalekites, and other peoples from the east would come and attack them. They camped in the land and destroyed the crops that Israel had planted as far away as Gaza. They left nothing for Israel to eat, and no sheep, cattle, or donkeys. The Midianites came with their tents and their animals like swarms of locusts to ruin the land. There were so many people and camels that they could not be counted. Israel became very poor because of the Midianites, so they cried out to the Lord. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord against the Midianites, what do you think God will do next? Okay, if you can write what you think God is going to do next in the comment section, that'd be absolutely brilliant. I will, if you've got any questions at this point, now is the time to ask them. Put them in the comment section. It will be really great to hear from you guys. So now I'm going to read a little bit more from the Bible, but after some of the verses I'm going to pause and I want to give you guys a chance to come up with an emoji so you can show how Gideon feels at that point. Okay, so I'll read a little bit more, and then what I will do is I will pause and I will say come up with an emoji. So if you want, in the comment section, if you just write 1 to 5 and then put an emoji next to it, just so I can get an idea of which one you're aiming for and what emoji you think best sums up how Gideon is feeling. Make sense? Brilliant. Right, so this is from Judges chapter 6 verses 11 to 24. The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak tree at Ophrah that belonged to Joash, one of the Abizerite people. Gideon, Joash's son, was separating some wheat from the chaff in a winepress to keep the wheat from the Midianites. The angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Come up with an emoji. Then Gideon said, "Sir, if the Lord is with us, why are we having so much trouble? Where are the miracles our ancestors told us he did when the Lord brought them out of Egypt? But now he has left us and has handed us over to the Midianites." The Lord turned to Gideon and said, "Go with your strength and save Israel from the Midianites. I am the one who is sending you." Pause. Come up with your emoji at this point for Gideon. Okay. But Gideon answered, "Lord, how can I save Israel? My family group is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least important member of my family." The Lord answered him, "I will be with you. It will seem as if the Midianites you are fighting are only one man." I'm going to pause there again. Come up with an emoji for how Gideon might be feeling. Okay, picking up at verse 17. Then Gideon said to the Lord, "If you are pleased with me, give me proof that it is really you talking to me. Please wait here until I come back to you. Let me bring my offering and set it in front of you." And the Lord said, "I will wait until you return." So Gideon went in and cooked a young goat, and with 20 quarts of flour made bread without yeast. Then he put the meat into a basket and the broth into a pot. He brought them out and gave them to the angel under the oak tree. The angel of God said to Gideon, "Put the meat and the bread without yeast on that rock over there. Then pour the broth on them." And Gideon did as he was told. The angel of the Lord touched the meat and the bread with the end of the stick that was in his hand, and the fire jumped up from the rock and completely burned up the meat and the bread, and the angel of the Lord disappeared. Then Gideon understood that he had been talking to the angel of the Lord. So Gideon cried out, Lord God, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. Come up with an emoji. Picking up at verse 23. But the Lord said to Gideon, calm down, and do not be afraid, you will not die. So Gideon built an altar there to worship the Lord, and named it, The Lord is Peace. It still stands at Ophrah, where the Abiezrites live. Pause. Come up with an emoji for Gideon. Now, in the next part of Gideon's story, he tears down an altar to Baal, another god that the Israelites had started to worship, and after that, Gideon defeats the Midianites. The thing we always think about with Gideon, as he fought off for the people of God and God. Okay, so that's our story, that's our person that we're thinking about today. Now I've got 5 questions for you. I will post them in the comment section so you can see what they are. If you want to come up with some answers for them, that would be brilliant. If you have any more questions that you want to ask after that, that would be great as well. Please do post those in the comment section, and I will try and answer them. So, question number 1. Why did Gideon doubt that God would be with him and help him? Question number 2. What does this story tell you about God? Question number 3. Have you ever had a time when you have felt that God was with you? Now, I may have told you guys this story before, but just over 8 years ago, I was living with my wife Sylvia in a small terraced back-to-back house. We had 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, lounge / kitchen / dining room. I mean, it was basically, there was 2 rooms downstairs and there were 2 rooms upstairs. So that it was tiny, teeny tiny, and great for 2 people. But Sylv was pregnant with Ben and Josh, and there was no way that they were going to let us stay in a house that was designed for really, well, maximum 2 people and have 4 people in there. So we had to move, and we've been trying to sell our house for ages, and we hadn't been able to sell it. And so we sat down and we prayed. We prayed and prayed. I needed a new job because the job that I had at the time was coming to an end, but it needed to be a short-term job. We needed to move, and we needed to sell our house. Now, and God answered our prayers. Maybe not entirely the way we wanted him to, but you know what? Pretty damn close. I got a new job. First off, I got a new job, and that was great. And it was covering another youth worker's maternity leave. So it was 9 months, which suited us down to the ground. And I was able to do that just after the boys were born, which was great. We didn't manage to sell our house, but we managed to get it rented out. So, and we managed to find another house to rent on the Hawksworth Wood, which is how we came to be living on the Hawksworth Wood for a few years. And God really answered our prayers, and he was really there with us in everything that we were doing. And really felt his presence. And the first few weeks when you bring your new babies home, and there's no sleep, but there's lots of feeding, lots of changing nappies, lots of dozing whilst you're waiting for them to wake up and demand either a cuddle or feeding or a changing of the nappy, which as a parent you love to do, but it's exhausting. Okay, and that's a point in my life. That's one of the many points in my life where I really feel like God was with me, and God had my back. Okay, so coming back to my questions, question number 4. When you feel scared, what do? Who helps you feel better? So question 4 has 2 parts there. When you feel scared, what do? And who helps you feel better? Okay, and my last question, question number 5. Have you ever asked God to help? When and why? Okay, So again, question 5 comes in a two-parter. Have you ever asked God to help? When and why? Now, if you could post your answers in the comment section below, that'd be absolutely fantastic. It'd be great to hear how you guys are doing and what's going on. I'm now going to move into a quick prayer suggestion, and then I will pray to finish. Okay, so before I pray to finish, I'd like to encourage you guys to try praying at other times. When we found Gideon at the beginning of our session today, he was hiding in a hole because he didn't want the Midianites, his enemies, to find him. They didn't want him to see him. I want you to find a place where you can just sit, just like Gideon, who was hidden, and play some reflective music. And just chat with God about the things that are scaring you or worrying you at the moment. This can be absolutely anything, from stuff going on with your families, or stuff going on with school, or, you know, coronavirus, or anything that is going on around you. Absolutely anything. Then I want to encourage you to finish by rereading verse 12 from our story today, okay? And thank God for being with you and helping you when things get scary. So, verse 12, just so you've got it, the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Okay, just listen to that again. The angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Okay, so if we now get into our attitudes of prayer, I will say, "Hey God, help us to trust you completely and know that you always have our backs." Amen. Thanks very much for listening, guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. I hope the lift sheets coming through your letterboxes are giving you something to do and are a bit of a help. Please do remember, there is no lift at the moment. We are still on lockdown at church, but we are able to do help wherever we possibly can. So if you or somebody else you know needs any help, please do let us know. If you or somebody you know needs prayer, please let us know. Anything that we can do, we will do. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, if indeed you still are. Bye, guys.